What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoyed that intro video that I had of this race weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia. And right now we are lined up for the category 4-5 race, and we are also racing with the collegiate Ds. This is the ACC Championships, or the ACCC Championships. I'm not exactly sure how many Cs there are, but I originally lined up early and I was on the front because my plan for this race was to treat this like a hole shot. There is a hairpin turn about 30 yards away, and I wanted to get to that corner first so that I wouldn't have to deal with people around me, and I wanted to keep the pace high, and I wanted to be in the front of the field. The reason these guys are lined up in front of me is because the race official told us that he would like the collegiate riders to line up on the front because this is for their championships. So we, of course, said okay. We backed up one bike length, let them in. And then probably the most epic failed clip-in happens. The guy in front of me bumps the guy in front of him. And I had my head down, I was clipping in, and right as I was about to clip in, I hit him. And then actually both my feet came unclipped, so I fumbled around a little bit to clip in my left foot, and then I clipped in my right. Yeah, and then I basically had to chase down the group from the very beginning. So obviously this is not an ideal race start. This is probably the worst start that I could have imagined. And looking back at the footage and looking back in hindsight on how the race ultimately ended up, it seems to me like the best option for me would have been to sprint as hard as I can and get back to the pack as quickly as I can, instead of trying to measure it out and measure out an effort to last a certain amount of time, mainly because in this 4-5 field, it seems like people just consistently get shed off the back of the front group. So what happens is, as I'm trying to catch people, and as I'm trying to catch the pack, I end up having to hop all these little gaps. So if I had minimized the time that it took to get back to the pack, maybe it would have been a little bit easier, because once I make contact with the pack, then I can try to recover. But yeah, you can basically see that I'm chasing in the wind. Now we're coming up to this corner, which is corner 4 on lap 2. There is a crash. Nick goes down. Nick is my neighbor and friend and my riding buddy from all my morning rides. And what happens because of this crash is that there is a field split and everyone gets strung out. The entire field gets completely shattered again. And then it makes the chase effort that much harder. Oh yeah, anyway, side note, Nick got into that crash and he didn't know that he could get a free lap. So he actually ended up trying to chase everybody, and he and I ended up getting pulled at the exact same time. So if you're racing a crit, just know that if you get caught in a crash or caught directly behind a crash, you can go to the pit and take a free lap and then rejoin the group. So this crit race was the first race of my weekend. I also raced in the Masters 35-45 plus race later in this day. I will have that video up later. I also raced the Jefferson Cup road race, which was the following day on Sunday. And you'll see in that video that the weather and conditions were very, very different than today. I think this was the second year that they ran this event. I believe they said the registration was up 50% from last year. I spoke to a couple people who raced this race last year and they enjoyed it a lot, so I guess word must have gotten out that this is a great event to attend. So yeah, it was great. The atmosphere was great, the venue was great. There was a lot of food in the area to purchase and eat. There were a lot of people out, and especially because the weather was nice, there was a lot of support from the community. And you can see we're still going round and round. The field is still pretty strung out, pretty tattered. Alright, for those of you who are interested in possibly doing this event in the future, I'll walk you through the course on a lap and give you some of my thoughts. So here we are passing the start-finish line. Like I said, the hairpin turn is pretty close to the start-finish line. And obviously on every corner you want to preserve as much speed as possible. Setting up wide on this turn is probably the best in order to preserve speed. Obviously it's a shorter distance to take the inside line, but you will probably have to scrub brakes a little bit more, and you will have to slow down, which may cause you to have to expend a little bit more energy out of the turn. I take this one pretty cleanly at around 18 miles per hour. So that's, I think, generally pretty good. I was looking at some footage from last year, and it seemed like the 123 field was taking the hairpin at around the same speed. And when I look at my footage from this year, all the turns that I did in this race and the Masters race, it seems like 18 miles per hour is around the average speed that you would carry through this turn. There were a couple times that I took a pretty wonky line, and I think I had to scrub brakes a little bit more, so I was down to 15 miles per hour or so. And then on some really fast hairpin turns, I was hitting up to 20 or 21 miles per hour. This section of the course between corners 1 and 2, you can actually move up a few wheels on this section in one of two ways. You can either take the hairpin better than those in front of you and carry more speed out of the turn, or if you're willing to expend the energy, you can sprint out of this corner, mainly on the right side of the road because everyone's going to set up on the right side to take this next left turn. Corner number 2 here is pretty fast. There's really nothing special about it. It's wide open and it exits on a downhill. Coming out of corner 2, you can actually coast for most of this section of the road if you are in the pack. And then corner number 3 is similar to corner number 2 in that it's really fast and it's really open. So you can pedal through this one and for the most part coast to corner number 4. Corner number 4 is probably the most technical turn, even more technical than the hairpin turn. And I say that because 1, you're carrying a lot of speed. 2, it's pretty narrow. And 3, there is a little bit of a dip and you can see a crack in the road right there. But the exit of this turn looks wide, but once you come around the corner, you'll see that there is a sidewalk on the left side. So if you're not anticipating that, it's possible that you could go too wide on this turn. Another reason why corner number 4 is so important is because of the uphill kicker that comes up here, and the more speed that you carry, obviously the more energy you'll be able to conserve on this kicker. Once you go up and over the kicker, it is a slight uphill drag basically to the finish line. But there's nothing really complicated about corner number 5, and then I think it's about almost 300 meters to the finish line. So the more I went around this course, the more comfortable I got with each of these corners. It is a really fun course. It is really fast, despite there being an uphill kicker. So for anyone in the area who's looking to do a fun crit, this is definitely one that I would recommend, and I will definitely try to be back to this event next year if I can. Alright, that's pretty much it. So I get pulled from this race because I'm not able to catch up to the front group, and then I get a chance at redemption in the Masters 35 Plus race. And that race started about an hour after this one finished. I was thinking that it could be beneficial that I didn't finish this race because it would preserve my legs a little bit for the Masters race. But this was the first time ever that I was going to be doing 2 races in one day. So I didn't really know how my legs would feel or respond to having one race before the second one. Now, obviously, I post all these videos and make these race commentaries mainly for my own learning and for anyone out there who might find this entertaining. So if you like the content, feel free to subscribe, like the video. I think the last time I checked, I have 399 subscribers. So maybe you can be the 400th. And if you're not the 400th, click the button anyway. Whee! And the last thing I'll say is that doing these videos makes me a little bit more of a public figure in the racing community in the Northern Virginia area. So I've actually been able to meet a lot of people simply because I make these videos. And I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give me and all the encouragement that you guys provide. And a lot of what I do on the bike and on Strava is also to encourage and motivate people to get into cycling or get into racing simply because I think it's fun. I've already posted the full race video for this one on my channel too, so I'll put a link in the description for that if you want to go take a look at the full race and if you want to see me go around the course basically by myself for 15-16 minutes. Alright, hope you guys have a good day. Later.